We're going. We're live.
We're live.
We are live. Welcome back to another live episode of Uncut and Unfiltered. That's right. We are here in the sweltering heat, doing the tough jobs, making the tough decisions.
Someone's gotta
doing
do
this for
We're
you.
so fucking privileged.
Someone's got
moaning
to
about
do
this.
it. Someone's got to fucking do it. We're going to power through here. It's going to be a tough afternoon. We are going to put our blood, sweat, and tears into this to make sure that you guys know what to drink this weekend. And this week we have got quite an interesting lineup there. This week is Master of Malt week. So obviously you guys will know at home, Master of Malt, fantastic online e-commerce website. You can buy not just your whiskies, but your rums, your gins, your tequilas, just about anything that you want on there when it comes to drinks. They've got some fantastic deals. I have to say Master of Malt is generally the place that I will buy my whiskies if I'm buying online. But today we are trying their sort of independent range. We've got 4 drams. Again, thank you so much, gents, because I've brought nothing to the table this week. Ian, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming. You're good? Looking forward to this?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
A couple of controversial ones, or definitely at least one controversial one on the table for today.
Yeah.
What about you, Stevie? You ready?
I'm ready. Let's crack something open.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We go in age order.
11,
or...
12, 13, 42. I don't know what happened there, but I'm happy with the age jump. I'm happy to start wherever you guys
I like the
want.
big fucking guns. Well, actually, in some ways, we might want to start big.
Yeah.
Because it's
Really appreciate the flavour within.
Well, it's pretty low ABV. It's 44.1%.
Let's do that then. Pour us up.
So it's obviously lost a fair old bit since 1980.
So 44.1. Is it cask strength, does it say?
No.
And it's a blended malt or just a blended whiskey?
Blended whiskey.
So blended whiskey, we've got both grain and malt in here.
Yeah.
42 years old. It's interesting. And guys, for everyone at home, obviously, this is Uncut and Unfiltered. Strangely enough, this is actually the first time we are reshooting an episode. Unfortunately, the audio got completely messed up. First time we shot this, it's not a case that we didn't want to launch it, but to be quite frankly honest, you would have missed out on about half of the episode. So we're redoing this one. We have tried these drams.
And just as well, actually, we've got an extra bottle.
We've got an extra bottle today. We're going to come at it with just as much enthusiasm as we did previously. And yeah, 42-year-old blended whiskey. Remind me, Ian, on the price of this.
This was 199 of the King's pounds.
Which is just, and I think last time we tried it was 199 of the Queen's pounds, which is, shows how long ago we probably tried this. But it's such good value for money. Stevie paying a bit of homage there. I don't know. There we go. Paying a bit of homage. 42 years in cask. £199. It's an impressive price. You know, we'll get on to taste now in a second. But the thing that stood out to me when we first went through this lineup was, fucking hell, that is exceptional value for money.
Yeah.
42 years in cask. Less than £200.
What other information do they give you on this blend here?
Fuck all. Well, I mean, so...
That is the bad thing about these releases. Very, very little info.
You know, distilled, 1980. You get a year rather than a day. Disgorged, 2022. Cask type, marriage. So actually, interestingly,
They don't denote the cask types.
Well, it's a cask size hogshead.
But that's the marriage cask. It could have been in
could have
any.
been in
Could have been
anything.
in bourbon barrels. Could have been could have been in sherry, wine, anything.
And, you know, one of 370 bottles. So
Just nearly lost another glass.
how long was it married for? Because back in the 70s and 80s, when this was distilled, it was quite common for stuff that was planned to be distilled for very long periods of time to stick a bunch of shit in a cask at the time of distillation and let it mature.
For sure.
And you weren't actually blending it later. It was blended at birth.
For sure.
So this marriage could be anything here, right?
Correct. Could be, yeah, exactly. And again, going back to our conversation in the last episode, let's just have a bit more information. The more information we can have with these things, the
more
better.
we'll buy it.
Correct. The more we would buy it. Absolutely. If you could tell me, oh, the malt from this blend is from X, Y, and Z distillery, and the grain is from here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
love that
cool.
shit, the
All of a
details.
sudden,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
bought in. Because I know this distillery, I love this distillery, and I'm really interested in how these two work, or whatever it may be.
And it says hoggy, but I mean, it's clearly a
However,
sherry hoggy, right?
well, actually no. Okay, all casks are. You're going to know what the
Sorry,
cask
you
is.
say it's clearly a sherry hoggy.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
For me, I think there's a bunch of kind of darker fruit notes.
Okay.
I'm getting some clear grain notes from it as
Yep.
well.
There is some sort of rich sort of berries. However, having tried certain well-aged bourbon casks
You
that
think
are
it could
just
be? All right.
really, I wouldn't
really fresh.
Do you know? I wouldn't want to make that assumption. I think you're probably right. In my opinion, what this is, and again, we've tried this before, having tried it before and kind of run through it with you guys, in my opinion, this was a multitude of different casks that have probably been married over a good 5 to 10 year period.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a finish. I do think it is a marriage, a
Yes.
good long finish of sort of, I would probably say 10 years plus, actually. I'm not sure that it was a sherry cask that it was married in. I
Maybe
think
not.
that there maybe was some sherry maturation beforehand. But
You'll never know.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
well, that's the sad thing. We will never fucking know.
But
We
it's
can
cool-
argue
it's
about
cool-
it all afternoon, Ian, you know?
But it's cool to have a debate over it.
It is cool. I just wish that we didn't have to. I wish that we could have the debate and then scan a QR code and it goes, zoom, boom, there you go.
I was going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, we kind of moaned last episode and we started to just now about not putting the details of what's gone in. But I guess with cask going back, you know, that...
If it was married
long-
at birth,
No, but not even that. But I mean,
we
like,
wouldn't maybe have that
those details
information.
weren't probably kept back then. Like, we talk about...
That's what I'm saying. If it was married from birth, the
Yeah.
information may not have been retained.
No.
But if it was married 10 years ago,
Oh, for
Master
sure.
of Malt will
They
know,
would know.
full
They would
fucking
know. Yeah,
well.
of
And
course,
to be
of
honest,
course.
Master of Malt will probably know anyway.
Right, okay.
You know, unless they bought this recently off of a broker and it was blended, married at birth, whatever you want to call it, fine.
Yeah. 'Cause I guess that's the other thing. Like, you know, single malts even 10 years ago were a big thing, right? So, you know, who the fuck was deciding, like, I've got a bunch of shit that I'm going to start marrying into a blend 10 years ago? Because that's the way to add value to the casks that I have. Mm-hmm. That would have been, even 10 years ago, a pretty fucking weird thing to do.
Counterintuitive, yeah, maybe, yeah, for sure. No, maybe you're right. But again, when it comes to, like, it's interesting you say that, and I can't disagree with you, but at the same time, from a bottler's perspective, like, I think there are so many brands, so many bottlers in the space for money, but there are equal amount who are in it for passion, right?
Yeah.
And so from my point of view, like, regardless of value, you know, I would blend certain things. Like, for example, we did that Stoisha release, right? And that was a 3-year-old, nearly 4-year-old, blended with a 9-year-old.
yeah.
Now, so many people said I was crazy to bottle the 9-year-old with the 3-year-old. The 2013 Stoisha is one of those vintage years that everyone's just, 2013 was the one for Stoisha. And don't get me wrong, I've tried so many 2013 Stoisha, including that single barrel before we blended it. Exceptional by itself.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just like,
But you like being a rebel, mate.
I wasn't going to put it that way, but if,
Don't tell me what to
if
do.
that's how you see me, I'll take
no,
it.
you
No,
like
but-
taking risks and experimenting, right?
I like taking risks, yeah. I like experimenting, yeah. But also, for me, fuck the money. Like, if I wanted to be really rich and just be a twat, I wouldn't be bottling whiskey. I'd be selling casks and ripping poor investors off. They don't know what's going on. I'd have their money in an instant. I could have done that. I could be very, very rich. No one would ever deal with me within the whiskey space. I would not be able to look at myself in the mirror. But if money was all that mattered to me,
You'd have a nice car.
that's what I'd do. I'd have a fucking wonderful car and a big old house. Woo! I'd be the tits for a minute, you know? But realistically, I care about whiskey. I care about flavors. And you know what's been so wonderful? All these people coming to us going, that 3-year-old whiskey, mate. Woo! Wee! It's amazing. And you know what? It wouldn't have been as amazing without that 9-year-old bringing that depth, leveling it up. It worked, in my opinion, better together.
Yeah.
You know? And this is the thing, is like, that was really cool to do that. And we probably shouldn't have labelled it the way that we did, because technically it's a bit of a no-no.
No,
But
I disagree.
I want it... No, legally it's... Yeah,
I think we got around it.
Hey, look, no one's noticed. Woo.
That's what I mean. He got signed
But
off.
we've given... But we've given people as much information as we fucking could. And you
Give
know
me that
what?
shovel,
Sue
Stevie.
me. Fucking sue me. Like, I want people to know what they're drinking. I want people to be drawn in. I want people to understand. And as you say, whether they have that information or not, there is no denying that the information being given to us now would level this whole experience
Yeah.
up, right?
It'd be interesting. I mean, also, there may be kind of some vague reasons for hiding stuff that are not unreasonable, right? You could have had, you never know with a blended whiskey like this what the real components are, right? You could have had a grain whiskey and one malt. And what you do see sometimes with these things is maybe because those malts are often filled at a low level, 63.5% or possibly even lower, that after a long period of time like this, it's become close to or even below the legal minimum of 40%. So grain often filled into cask at a much higher ABV, retains it for longer, sticker.
And you know what? The reason that they don't tell those stories, and I think those stories would be few and far between, to be honest, but you're absolutely right. If there were to be one of those stories, it would be with this sort of a release, a 42-year-old. Not all malts, not all whiskies are going to be able to get to 40 years old, right? That's a really good point. But it's like the reason they haven't given us that information, if that is the case, is because they are ashamed. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
This whiskey is dropped below being whiskey. We couldn't bottle it by itself. We had to put grain in it. We had to do that. We had to, not proud. It's a blended whiskey. It's its own thing. What single cask, Glendronach or Highland Park or whatever that we had before that dropped, all of a sudden it's like, to me, it's just as interesting.
Yeah.
Really? You had a fucking Highland Park that dropped below 40? Fuck, that must have been tough. Yeah, but you know what we did though, Jake, is we put this grain, this Girvan or this North British or this Cambridge, whatever the fuck it was.
We saved it.
And we saved it. We brought it back up, but we added this element. Did you get that? You know what? I do get that. That's fucking good. You can bullshit me. Do you know what I mean? You can tell me a story. I'll buy into it. I want to hear that story.
Yeah, I think it's, it's a cool story. Like, it's the end of the day. It's like,
Bring me on a journey.
Do you know what? We fucked this
It's
up,
a story,
but we brought it back, right?
Correct.
And we didn't do this because we
didn't do it intentionally, but this is how it ended up, and it's good.
And we didn't do this, so we're forced to sell a spirit drink at like 20 quid a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
We said, okay, is there something we can do to fix it? And actually, we said, no, we've got this cask of grain. We're not quite happy with it as well, but I reckon if we blend it with this, and we did an experiment,
The sum of the components is better than the components themselves. Yeah, more information, please, everyone. Yeah. All indies, all distilleries, Master of Malt specifically, seeing as we're talking about you today.
Right to Scotch Whisky Association.
More information. Don't bother. Waste of time.
Let's boycott them.
Last thing.
Good luck.
Just
I wish we could.
No one send their labels to them.
Yeah.
They'd still cause problems, mate. It's not how to deal with that. But yeah. Anyway, go on. Last thing.
Sorry, last thing on this one, and maybe before we move on, is when this one came out, there were a bunch of people going, actually, we think this one is a teaspooned blended malt, or it's a blended malt that they can't call a blended malt. And actually it's blended whiskey. You can have that. There was a Thompson Brothers cask, a 1980 blend that was, again, fucking fantastic. Went through a bottle of that. If I ever see another bottle on auction, it's reasonable, I will buy another one. That was down as a blended Scotch, but it was old Edrington stock that for some bizarre reason, again, I think it was blended at birth.
Blended malts.
Blended malts. So Glenrothes, Macallan, Highland Park, they were not allowed to call it a blended malt. And God knows how or why. Maybe the information wasn't there on the cask to say so, and therefore they had to call it blended whiskey because it just said blend on it, but they knew what the component parts were. And there were people speculating this was a similar kind of deal. But I think as this has opened up, there's more air gone into it, and especially on a hot summer's day.
I think there's plenty of grain in there.
Fair bit of grain in
right?
this, right?
And not that that's a bad thing.
No.
Like, again, people are, grain whiskey, blended whiskies, and only single malts. It's like, why? Why? What's so good about single malt? Like, don't get me wrong, I love single malt, and that's probably the category I find myself enjoying the most. But like, a good blended whiskey is, perfect, especially for a hot day like today.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't want that rough, rugged single malt style. You want something that's a little bit easier in the glass.
Some sweet creaminess to this that I think is, goes down nicely despite the relatively dark colour.
Agreed. 42 years, blown away by the price. Let's crack on. Let's do the next. Let's do the next one. I'm noticing a Royal Brackla, which is the new one that you've just bought in for us, is it?
Yeah. I think it's quite high. I think it's 60%, is it not?
I love Royal Brackla.
60 points.
See,
I
this is why I chose it.
Love
Well,
for
not
me.
exactly. Nah,
Thank you, mate.
it's not all about you, mate.
Well, it fucking is now. Royal Brackla.
I chose it because we all love Royal Brackla. It was, I think, 50
Exactly.
or 60 quid.
For 11-year-old single cask, not bad.
I know.
These
but
are
the
all
ABV
other than the blend. These are all single cask, right?
Yeah,
Sorry,
they are.
just trying to remember.
they are.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know
they
about
are.
the hot one, but the Port Charlotte, 100%.
The Port Charlotte actually does not say single cask.
No, the
on
Port
it.
Charlotte isn't, and that's because it's a blend of multiple different casks. But it's similar to what we were discussing last time. It's a cask bottling that has been. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see on these first two there is a very small
So I had a bit of this.
Single cask,
single
no.
cask label
Right, yeah.
underneath.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So I had a thimble of this last night. It needs a bit of water.
Refill butt.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's spicy.
Smells spicy even on the nose. Like it's not a lot of alcohol, but you can get it's not.
It's not integrated. No, it's this isn't. So Royal Brackla to me is a serious mark of quality. To me, I find Royal Brackla being highly undervalued in the market. People talk about Macallan, Glendronach, Springbank, Dalmore. Royal Brackla belongs with these names in my mind. I think it's a fantastic whiskey. I think that the OBs, the original bottlings from the distilleries, don't always pay it the respect that it deserves. But having had numerous, and still we've got a multitude of single casks under management. And we recently bottled the 15-year-old, actually. Sure, didn't we? We've actually bottled one now. Yeah, I forget about that. I love Royal Brackla. I think it is just head and shoulders above so many other distilleries. And it just has no real following, seemingly. No real...
I mean, the OBs are getting better. I think they've recently
rebranded it again in the last time.
Yeah,
in the
they
last
have
5
actually.
years
We
or
tried
so.
them
No,
at
last year another rebranding. So there was
Right,
a
but that's twice within the last 5 years,
Yeah.
right?
the ones 5 years ago, I think they kind of the labels look classier. They did put some sherry in, which I think probably suits the spirit quite well. But they were all generally at 40%.
Right.
These and they were they weren't giving you any information. Now you got 12-year-old in Oloroso, you've got an 18 with a Palo Cortado finish, and you've got a 21 that I think is Oloroso and PX.
The 18 is delicious.
And they're all 46 or 48%, I think.
They still need to be given a bit more respect.
This
This is the King's own whiskey. And again, guys, sorry, anyone at home, Royal Brackla was the first distillery to be given a royal warrant. Too hot to be telling you when. I think it's 1836.
Yeah.
I think it's 1836 by William.
William the Fourth.
William the Burr.
Fourth.
Can't remember.
Fourth, I
William
think.
someone or other. He was a king. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much for free. But yeah, royal warrant. And it was the King's own whiskey. This was literally, whiskey fit for a king. And that's how I see it. I really do. I think it is kept that integrity, that value for money, but it has lost the following that it would have done. Bacardi own brand that, in my mind should be well up there.
Yeah.
Why it isn't, I don't know.
Well, I've not cracked it yet. There's a 15-year-old, very dark, well, not very dark, quite dark sherry cask, 15-year-old that's just come out, which I ordered at the same time as that Craigellachie single cask. Mm-hmm. So I have high hopes for that.
One to look forward to, definitely. You're not enjoying this?
I added some water. Yeah, I am. It was just too spicy for me.
I think it just needs to breathe. The nose, again, I find
I
the
had a
same
neck
as with
pour.
the Gervan on the last one. That I think it's a neck pour scenario sort of a thing.
That's
I'm
what I had
giving
last
it.
night.
It's just the nose and the palate are disjointed. There is that disconnect and it's not quite coming across. However, it is calming down much quicker.
I'm going to say I've had better butts.
All right, Ian. Hey, listen. This is a sherry butt.
It says refill, but
Refill, but I mean, it's definitely sherry influence in it. I have to say. I think it's probably only a second or third fill sherry, but from the flavour, I think it's really quite nice on the palate. There's just a lot of you're saying spiciness. For me, it's heat. It is
hot.
It's untamed.
yeah.
It is
It's
hot.
just untamed and disjointed on the nose. It's cooling down a lot quicker than the Govan did, though. So it may just be a neck pour scenario. I don't know.
What I'm going to say that I don't think time or air will fix is that the what the sherry has imparted is that fairly basic modern sherry. It's some prune. There's a bit of prune juice.
Okay.
I'm not getting the earthiness, the leatheriness, the cigar box notes.
No, I'd agree with that. No, it's not an overly complex sherry Brackla, but at the same time, do you need it to be? I don't know. I think Brackla is a wonderfully complex dram as it stands, and I think letting that distillery character shine through every now and then. Like our hogshead was not sherried, and that's why again I quite liked it as a differentiator, like a completely different expression from the distillery. I kind of have this in a similar light. How much was this, Stevie?
£49
For 11-year-old single cask.
Yeah.
You think that's punchy?
No, I don't think it's punchy. I think that's that was me being like, okay, that's not bad.
I think it's reasonable price.
Yeah, like I said, I just
You would find better whiskies for £50.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that, but I think that this is a cool expression.
I like other kind of butts.
Ian likes big butts, and
So-
he cannot lie.
Master of Malt, have they had this kind of line of their own bottlings for long, or is this a new thing?
Well,
I know this is definitely a new label.
It's
'cause I
a
haven't seen it.
returning thing.
Okay, returning thing.
So up until I'm going to say 2018, they had a line that looked not dissimilar to this, albeit the bottles were more of a kind of bimber slash
It's similar. It was a similar.
Daft Mill kind of
Just
slightly
longer.
longer
Taller,
bottle, creamier color label, but similar kind of style in terms of what's there. And they kind of binned it off, I think, in favor of that boutique whiskey company,
Right.
which is another Assam Brands gig, so same parent company ultimately.
I don't really understand what they're doing. I'm really glad that you've come along to this, and sorry to interrupt you. I don't really understand what they're doing, splitting their eggs there.
Well, so they're not just
Why is it money?
This is another avenue.
they're
right?
not just-
It's another line. Yeah.
Okay, so there's been internet sleuthing as well. They're not just splitting their eggs; they are combining their eggs. So a number of the
Stuff that gets rebottled.
it became clear from ages and ABVs very quickly that a number of certainly the earliest releases, when they put out about 30 to relaunch it, were all, or not all, but mostly rebottled that boutique whiskey company releases.
Doesn't look very good, does it?
And they were often 70 CL for the same or even less than that boutique whiskey been charging for a 50 CL.
Which makes sense because we've touched very briefly on Boutique before, and whilst I think they're a cool brand, I think we all agreed they were a bit overpriced by and large.
Yeah.
For the 50 centiliter bottles, So that makes sense to me. And doesn't give me huge confidence. And I know we had this discussion last time we did this episode, rebottling stuff. Where do we stand on it? Does it matter? Does it not? It's like, to me, the fact that they haven't sold through on the original bottling, they've had to not only rebrand, but reduce pricing.
And
It's not a good sign.
in some cases-
it doesn't fill me with confidence.
No, and in some cases,
Makes me actually
significantly.
quite a nervous buyer.
Yeah. And, I think when you've got something that's maybe 15, 20 quid less for a 70 CL than it was for a 50, that's a big price drop at that point, right?
Definitely.
That's like saying, actually, we're going to knock like a third or 40% off of the total price for it when
For
you
sure.
consider the size of the bottle difference.
For sure.
Um,
I kind of prefer the Master of Malt branding because it's super, super basic. But as we discussed when we briefly touched on the boutique whiskies it was in our indie episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had a bottle of boutique, and like I've always thought that their branding is so cool, but that they just don't do enough with it. And I would much rather personally buy a 70 centiliter bottle that is a bit more reasonably priced.
Probably has a bit more information on it.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's why I was literally just thinking, does it have more? There's not
Yeah.
much in it, but a little bit more information probably. Certainly for the single cask stuff, right? I don't know. I feel like if they did more with the boutique brand, that could become a real mainstay and something that people would collect, like we talked about last time, turning it into comic book strips, making a story out of it, getting people to collect a series, whatever it may be. I feel that that's much more up my alley than what they do currently. But because what they do currently, like I say, I would rather buy this. It's better value for money. They're full 70 centiliter bottles.
Yeah.
You get maybe a bit more information, although it's
just a little
marginally
bit.
more
Yeah,
information. You know.
So I really like what Sam and Dave are doing with Boutique. I think the labels are cool. I don't really care about the 50cl bottle as long as the price is okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they have become quite eclectic over time. Like they've launched an American series now. There was an Australian series last year. There was an English series, I think,
when
maybe
you say,
2 years ago.
is this like whiskeys from America?
Yes.
Or whiskey? Right, okay, cool.
And I kind of feel like maybe Boutique is better placed to offer kind of UK and EU consumers access to that kind of
brands.
international whiskey, and this is maybe better suited for the Scotch.
Interesting.
Well, the culture as well in the artwork, the British will get more.
But
as
I
well.
also think for some of that stuff where it is genuinely hard to get, some of those kind of bourbons, like say, I don't know, like an Iron Root or something that you don't generally see in the UK. I think people are perhaps more willing to pay the kind of premium or be more accepting of the 50cl size because that's the only way to get it. Whereas if you're bottling indie Glen Tuckers in a 50cl, you're in a relatively crowded market.
For sure.
And if your pricing's not very keen for 50cl, then it doesn't matter how
Forget
good
it.
your label is or even how good the taste is, because people are, with that indie stuff like that, you're going to have to try and get yourself to a festival or something else to taste it.
For sure.
They don't have a physical shop.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's an interesting one. Look, you know what? I've really enjoyed both of the whiskies that we've had thus far. You know what I'd love to do? I would love to get the Atom brand guys on a podcast. I'd love to talk to them. I'd love to understand, because I love what they do by and large, but I don't understand all of it.
Let me speak to Sam or Dave. They are both...
Sam, Dave, we'd love to get you on. Any of your
Well,
team,
you're
any and
Sam's
all
hero,
of your teams.
remember?
Sorry,
You're Sam's hero.
you said that before, and you know what? If that's true, I'd love to meet the guy. I think you're
He'd love to meet you.
I think you're bullshitting me. But it's by the by. I'd love to get them in. I'd love to talk to them about what they're doing. I think maybe
Just give some
we're
clarity to
missing
the
something.
message of the brand.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. That's what we need to do.
Okay.
Interesting though. Royal Brackla. I quite enjoyed that. You know.
I think the spirit saves it a bit. I think if that had been a lot of other distilleries in that particular butt, I think it would have been
Disappointing.
disappointing.
No, yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that. But Royal Brackla is a winner. Definitely check out Royal Brackla if you don't know it. I can personally attest to their newest 18-year-old. Haven't tried a huge amount of their new core range since it's been revamped, but we tried the 18 at the Whisky Show.
Yeah.
And it was spot on. Delicious.
Winner, Altmore dinner.
Shall we?
Another Dewars brand.
Let's do it. Altmore. So, yeah, again, Altmore, given probably even less of... given less hype, given less of a name, less attention, I think, than Brackla. Quite an interesting brand, I think. Altmore, for me, kind of sits in a similar area to Bruichladdich. And when I say Bruichladdich, I mean Bruichladdich unpeated, the spirit Bruichladdich, not the distillery that produces the 5 single malts. In as much as there is an element of butyric acid within the whiskey, which to some people comes across as this wonderful fruity banana note. To me,
Baby
sometimes, not always, unfortunately, I get that baby sicky
Lactic.
off.
Get it on the nose actually straight
Right,
away
yeah.
with this one.
And so,
Moldy yogurt.
yeah, it's just
Oh,
not
yeah.
very nice.
Sorry, mate. What are the details on the bottle? Could you read them out for us?
This
please?
one's not as bad as
others.
It is
as
a...
I remember, actually. I remember it not being very nice from our last tasting. It's not as bad as I remember.
it's had a lot of air in it. There's not a lot left.
Yeah.
It's another refill butt. 62.7%. And I think, testament to the fact that this was almost certainly shared with someone else. 219 bottles after 12 years from your refill sherry, but there's no way when it remained at 62.7% that the Angels nicked like the best part of 400 bottles from it.
You'd be surprised for sure. Yeah.
and again, unlikely, if it cask leaks, generally the ABV starts dropping relatively quickly as well, right?
Not always.
Not always?
Not
Okay.
always.
All
Not
right, you're
always.
the-
You know what? You'd be surprised. Sometimes some of the best casks that I come across from sort of the whiskey baron end of things when we're sampling and all this are casks that retain ABV but have fucked off a load of the liquid for some reason. For some reason, it rarely happens. I'm talking 3 or 4 casks I've tried in my 7 odd years, 7 odd years, whatever the fuck it's been that I've been doing this. 3 or 4 drams where, say, it's super high ABV, like in the 60s, but the alcohol is just evaporated completely.
Yeah.
Oh, the liquid, I should say, is evaporated completely, and the flavor is always really like intense and rich and like on point in those casks for some reason.
The alcohol is absolutely fucking not evaporated from
Yeah,
this.
it's very present.
This isn't very good.
I am, for whatever reason, getting a bunch of slightly bizarre Sesame Street memes coming through on my Instagram. Do you remember like watching it as a kid? They had the fucking alien puppets that just go yep 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 and nope 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 nope.
Right.
Me and this nope 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 nope.
Fair enough. Fair enough, man. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's,
I don't want to assume anything, but I'm going to. I think they don't. No, they probably do. But the fact that they're bottling so much of this stuff, and it's pretty much all at cask strength. I think they're not even tasting it. I think they're going, Royal Brackla, let me bottle it.
If that's the case, I'm
Bottle it.
deeply
No.
Because
disappointed.
all of these,
No,
except
I
for
don't
the
think
42-year-old,
that's true. I don't think that's true.
because
I hope. I know we talked
the
about
Brackla
this.
and the Altmore both need a bit of water.
If that is true, I don't want to invite the boys onto the podcast.
As I said,
'cause
I'm
I'll just
assuming.
I'll get
and,
upset.
Assumption is the
Yeah,
mother
I
of
need
all,
a
right?
dueling glove if that's the case. Mate.
If you listened to our single cast episode, I think we talked a little bit about some of this. I think there are a group of people who stubbornly insist that people are competent and capable of adding water.
Yep.
And let's bottle at cask strength because people will get upset if we don't buy
Cool.
it.
So if you've got that mentality, you're not going to try it, right?
No, I think you should still
I
try.
might
it.
have still try it.
You might have a sip just to make sure it's not like turned.
I don't know. You know what? I want to get them on right now to have this conversation.
Make the call. Someone make the call.
But
As if they're just going to appear. Right, boys,
Yeah.
sit down. Let's have a word with you now.
FaceTime Dave and
Stevie said this.
For once, I'm glad it's you and not me being a fucking loudmouth prick.
Well,
God.
yeah, that's just my because there's just so fucking many of these bottles now, and
You know what?
they're all a bit. To me, they have all just been a little bit rough around the edges. Needed a bit of water.
I disagree with the first one.
and
I
the
think
fact
the
that
first
you
one was
make
quite
that
nice.
comment.
I would personally fucking
Oh, the
love it
42-year-old, yeah.
if Sam sits at home like with some like kind of like third eye, like, oh yeah, we've got an 11-year-old Brackla, that's probably perfect now. Fucking picks up the phone to someone in Scotland and be like, bottle that shit now.
That's my narrative, and I like it, so I'm going to keep imagining.
I just
I don't think that's the case. dude.
no.
But
No.
you know what? Live that life. Live that life until we get them on board. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm really not enjoying this.
No.
Sorry.
Ooh.
Wow, it's gone on the floor,
It's a binnet. I'm going to tell you now.
mate.
Fuck off. That was not very nice. Not very well
I've added
integrated.
quite a lot of water.
I'm not going to
and
bother.
It's
Doesn't help, does it?
Really, my
it
comment
tones
versus
it
that,
down,
it's the same thing, isn't it? So,
but unlike the Brackla,
because you may as well not have tasted it.
it's super generic now. Like I could fucking, give me a dartboard with distillery names on it, and it's fucking never gonna land on Altmore.
It's a bit of all right whiskey if you add a lot of water, but no. No, thank you.
Why do you think they bottled that then?
I'm having a fucking baldies. I'd love to ask them. I want to move on to the Port Charlotte because I know I like this one.
He's been waiting for that all fucking afternoon.
This is one that caused so much uproar and controversy, and we've had this so many times now. Obviously, we had it the one time on camera. Thank you, Ian. We equally had it when we visited Whiskey Broker for our bottling. The three of us were sat in a hot tub. I know, don't close your eyes and think about it too long. You'll get carried away. We were all sat in a hot tub, supping away on drams, enjoying ourselves kind of in the mayhem of a 2 or 3 day bottling process. And we had this, and Stevie, this is your bottle. Thank you very much for bringing it
You're
yet
welcome,
again to the refilm of this episode.
Bring him back.
It's a weird one, right?
It's a hot tub time machine.
It brings him back to you and your
Hot
swimming
tub time machine,
trunks
love it.
and that Port Charlotte.
You know what? It's such a cool dram. I haven't even picked it up. Haven't even smelt it yet this time. I'm going out on what I've enjoyed the last few times I've tried this. It's funky. It's challenging. It is completely unlike anything else you would have tried. And for me, that is what Port Charlotte does so well. That is what Brackla have done so well with their cask selection. And just for everyone at home, Ian, this is 3 cask types, if I remember correctly. This is Sauternes, this is Burgundy, and this is...
Bourbon.
I think a bourbon.
Bourbon,
Yeah.
thank you.
43 bottles.
So definitely
Three
not
casks.
a single cask. So 3 cask types that have obviously been bottled separately, and then the last little bit of each have been vatted together, or they've all been vatted together and bottled under different labels. Who knows?
Well, and again as well, this is a line that launched at the back end, or at some point, maybe middle of last year, right? Disgorged April 2018. So this was held in glass or some other container for 4 years before it ended up in this. That's a pretty long time.
Yeah. Why? Your in bottle comment is probably the more likely, right?
I don't know whether there was a boutique of this one and then it got rebottled, but it's been in an IBC or some bottle somewhere.
I've fallen in and out of love with this more than I have done with any of the women I've been with in my life.
I mean,
All right, Jim Murray.
wrong type of hat.
That's a fact.
True, that's true.
You
know what?
this?
It's such a
What are you trying to do to me here, mate?
Throw you right under the
It's gonna
fucking
get
bus.
clipped now,
Cancelled.
completely out of context. You're gonna fucking try
I,
to make me the Andrew Tate of whiskey or something.
I love this. I think it's so contradictory of itself. It's so all over the place. There is so much going on in your glass.
No.
It's weird.
I loved it.
Wonderful.
I hated it.
Nope,
Where are you at
loved it.
now?
I like it.
You like it, yeah?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, he's happy. I like it.
Good.
It,
I'm delighted, mate.
It was just. We talked about
It
this
was
episode
disgusting in
in
hot
the
tub.
hot tub. It was fucking awful.
Wrong.
Like
It was amazing, guys. It was so delicious. They missed out. I
I
had a
absolute.
skinful of this bottle because these two absolute tits. Oh, this is not
Yeah,
very
because
nice.
I was busy
It's like,
downing that.
Port Charlotte me up, motherfuckers. This is crazy good. What are you on about?
I had like 3 drams of that Lechague that was amazing, and we also had I think
that
some
was
Glen,
insane. The Gordon MacPhail one.
the Gordon MacPhail 20-year-old
And
cherry.
you bought that as well. You bought some
Yeah.
whoppers that evening.
And I think
actually.
I think we also finished off that like 100 ml of the Glengoyne 30 that I
Oh,
brought up
yeah.
as well.
Yes,
That was
yeah.
great.
It was an evening of insane.
and then we finished on
drams.
this, and yeah, it was just like a
To me, this is just everything and
bird
more.
thrown up in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean this.
Keep going.
The
I'll have it
animal
again.
kind, okay? Before you fucking throw another Jim Murray comment at
I
me.
love this sort of shit. It's so dirty. It is. It's like weird notes. A bird, like it's like
It's
hospital
beyond-
floors. It's like oil rags. It's like
No.
sweet. It's like everything. To
No,
me.
it's fucking beyond that though.
It
Like,
is. It's everything and more. It's
The
weird.
Some weird
Lechague
notes,
is
Ian.
dirty. Lefroy is like kind of medicinal. This is you fucking like been chucked into the middle of a fucking garbage dump on a hot day. Someone has fucking
I love it.
someone has fucking ejected you into their
Digging the
slurry
dump over
chute
there.
in their farm.
Take me.
I'm such a degenerate. I want to be in a garbage dump. Just get me there now.
Live in a
You got
mound
this
of
this
filth.
like fucking conjure up images of like having your fucking eyes pecked out by seagulls because of all the filth around you.
that smelly, hot
Yeah,
garbage.
but it's got that plus it's got the fucking slurry note
love
as
it
well.
Kind of
so
like
much.
when you take your, your food bin out.
Yeah,
and you open that lid and you get that
a
waft
cow
in the summer.
Cow has fucking lifted up its tail and fucking done a runny shite straight into your mouth.
You know what the fucked
And then
up thing
pissed in
about
it.
all of this is? I can't disagree with any of it. But I fucking love this whiskey. This is such a good whiskey.
Fuck's sake.
It's all such filth and such dirt. And for some reason, I love it. I don't know. I'm a bit of a degenerate here, guys. Apologies. It's good. It's weird. I have never tried and will never try anything like this again. Even in Port Charlotte. You know, Port Charlotte, we've had the Von Romane that we were lucky enough to bottle, smashing.
Yeah.
The MRC was something that really kind of welcomed me into that world of whiskey. Awesome. There are so many different renditions, whether they be, you know, OBs or IBs of Port Charlotte. This is just
It's
a complete
funky
anomaly.
spirit,
It's
right?
an outlier. It's so far and away from anything that you could ever pass. And how many bottles did you say? 46?
43.
43 bottles. If anyone else has tried this, please drop a comment. There's probably only one or two of you. Let us know. Did you like it? Did you not? Did it taste like a bird throwing up in your mouth? Did it taste like seagulls were pecking your eyes out because you were in a garbage dump of hot mess? What did it taste like to you?
I am going to christen this the Port Fartlet.
I'll take it. I love it. It's so good. How much was it again, Stevie? It was a lot. It was like 160, 180 pounds.
Yeah, I think it was about 180 pounds, right? And
13-year-old.
I'll be honest with you, I split this bottle with someone because it was a lot of money.
Sorry, Rod loved it, didn't he?
It was a risk. Oh, mate, it went in a night with that guy. That man is a fiend, not just for alcohol,
But for
Port
this
Charlotte.
sort of an out, he loves
Yeah.
something that really changes his
didn't
mind.
last.
That fucking
yeah.
for sure. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Look, I don't want to cut the episode short or anything. From doing this again, what we have to do is get the boys in,
Hey,
get
look,
the team in. Sorry,
I'm
I don't know if there's men, women, who's involved in the Master of Malt team. I want to get
for
everyone
sure.
from the Master of Malt team in for an episode.
There's some good liquids here. There other liquids I've tried as well are great. You know, some are great, some I haven't enjoyed. I'm only like fucking around when I say they're not looking, but at the same time, some of them are questionable, right? You know,
But maybe they're going for Marmite.
no, I don't think so.
I disagree.
I don't think so.
they are.
I'm not sure they are
my
either.
company.
I think they are sometimes just bottling stuff for the sake of it, and some of it they're bottling it because it's good or it needs to be, or that, as you say, with the blend, you know, has to be, right? So there's a lot of going on there because they probably have a fuckload of stock, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is
I
very
hope so.
reasonable, very reasonably priced. Like when you look at those,
And that's
two,
it. That's why I hope so, because they always look. Don't get me wrong. Some of this was expensive, but like 13-year-old single cask Port Charlotte, 180 pounds. It's not cheap, but like you should see the casks that are going around, and the prices. This sort of stuff is about to level up price wise, and I'm not looking forward to that. It's becoming harder and harder to bottle these sorts of expressions at reasonable prices, particularly when we talk about Port Charlotte, Royal Brackla. You know, these two brands, very popular in the indie scene now. Very, very desirable from an investment point of view. You know, but ultimately it's going to affect brands, even if just in a minor way. Like Master Malt, they've been, Atom Brands have been around for a minute. They've got probably, hopefully, very good stocks, and I hope that they can continue offering great drams or interesting drams at accessible prices. But who's to say? I think that's what they do, unquestionably, though, on this side of things, is it's either fantastic whiskey or interesting whiskey at accessible prices. I think that personally, I couldn't take that away from them.
And not just from today, but also these bottles that I've seen around going on other YouTube videos, they always create a conversation.
Right.
You know,
For sure.
good discussion.
So maybe that's what they are
And that's
trying to do.
important.
Maybe
At
it's
least
all
not
about
something
discussion.
just coming out and like,
Oh,
this
it's
is
amazing.
great.
Yeah, it's really good.
This is
yeah.
great. It's, as you say,
Conversation
Marmite,
starter,
you know?
for sure. All right, well, look, enough about that, lads. Let's do a buy or don't buy. Let's round this episode up for everyone at home. 42-year-old blended whiskey, £199. It's a big fat buy from me.
Yep,
Yeah?
buy for me.
Buy?
How much was it? 190?
199.
Yeah, for having a 42-year-old on the shelf.
It's rare to have something of that sort of age,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Buy. Really, really cool. Stop being so down on grains. Stop being so down on blended whiskies, guys. This is delicious. If there is any of it around, whether on the website, probably not, or more likely in auction, definitely give it a try.
Try getting a single malt for £200 at 42 years old. Like
Good fucking luck.
Yeah, like I
not
would
gonna
be
happen.
amazed, even in
Try getting
independent
another
bottlers,
blend.
if you're getting something for less than £400 or £500.
Like Stevie says, fuck that. Try and find another blended whiskey that's 40 plus years old for 200 quid.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be that many out there.
No, there's not. And official bottlings, like good luck finding one for less than £1,000. Probably
Straight
good
up.
luck finding one for £2,000 nowadays.
Exactly. No, delicious and so cool to be able to drink 42. I mean, I know I go on about it, but that is older than all of us here. So that's fucking cool, right? Very cool. Anyway, buy on the 42-year-old blended whiskey. We then moved on to the 11-year-old Royal Brackla, which was £50.
£49, yep.
£49, £50, whatever. It's a buy from me, 60.6%. I don't feel that it was incredibly well integrated. It may have been a neck pour scenario. I felt that the actual expression itself in glass on the palate was, was approachable. There's a nice amount of depth. Is it the best Royal Brackla I've ever had? No. But is it a good one? Yeah, I think it's really good. I would buy it for £50, definitely.
I'm a bit more on the fence. It's not a definite buy. I feel like a couple of drops of water helps it a little bit. I feel like obviously the core spirit helps it a little bit. I feel the cask was not a great cask and it didn't make stuff shine in the way it could have done.
Fair enough.
I think
You'd still buy it though. Come on.
because of the price, I think 50 quid, like it's
You
just
can't not.
it sneaks over the line.
I'd agree with everything you said. I would probably go up to £60 as the top on this, but I agree with everything you said. £50 though, 60.6% whiskey. I'm sorry, for me, it's like I can't question that. But fair play, a buy. Just
Where I'm at right now, and I've only had a dram last night and a dram today.
well, you have bought this, but you wouldn't buy it again.
I
is what
would
you're
probably
saying.
not buy it again, though I have the rest of that bottle left. I'm going to get stuck into it. It may change. You know how bottles turn on you, right? But right this moment, it's a bit too heavy and spicy for me, especially in fucking Mr. Summer, right?
Yeah, no, fair enough. All right, 2 buys, 1 don't buy. It's a bit of a close call on that one. Fair enough. Moving on to the Altmore, 12-year-old.
So you binned it already, mate.
Yeah.
On the floor.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to stick with the binnet. Look, how much was it?
I think between 60 and 80 pounds, I'm going to say.
Fuck.
It's
Such a binnet for me.
Could
That
be
should be
completely
£50,
wrong.
and at £50, I'm kind of
could
like
be completely
very
wrong.
much on the fence as to like,
Yeah.
with that sort of a price tag, I think it's far too expensive. Altmore is not a premium brand in my mind. Not that it's not a good brand. I love Altmore. I think it's got a lot to offer, but I don't think that it.
I'm sorry,
sort of-
it was £50.
£50.
It was
50
£50
pounds, the
quid.
same price as the
Okay,
Brackla.
so the fact that it's £50, I'm on the fence between a binnet and a don't buy. I'm kind of. Yeah, I've said binnet though. I'm going to stick with binnet.
You got to, mate. Otherwise,
It's happened now,
you're
otherwise-
lapping
Yeah.
that up.
It's a clear don't buy. If you've got £50 to spend on a bottle of Master of Malt, and
There's
you're
much-
looking
Buy the
to
Brackla.
buy the Brackla out of those
Straight
two,
up,
definitely.
straight up.
Yeah.
Binnet.
Don't buy from me.
All right, 2 don't buys, 1 bin.
Now,
The Port Charlotte,
Yeah.
£180.
Yeah.
I would, you know me, I love Port Charlotte.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm, a little hoarder with Port Charlotte. I would buy 1 bottle of this, and I would do everything I could to make it last. I wouldn't be having it with Rod. I wouldn't be having it with anyone who likes Port Charlotte, to be honest. I would be letting people try it from a point of interest, but my hope would be that I would
and it's
get
going back in the cupboard.
to enjoy 90% of the bottle myself, and everyone else go, oh, it's horrible. And I go, yeah, don't try that again. Any Port Charlottes you get,
Never
send,
buy Port
send them
Charlotte.
my way. No, not for you, not
I
for you.
really thought you were going oosh on that one.
You know what? Why I don't is because of the price point.
Yeah.
So don't get
Sorry,
me
do
wrong.
you think it's overpriced?
It's dear. It is dear.
For sure.
It is very, very dear.
Well, I mean, so how much was, not a pleasant comparison, how much was our Port Charlotte was 14 years old?
Our Port Charlotte was equally 13 years old.
13
How
years
much
old,
was our
yeah.
Port Charlotte, Stevie? Was it 160?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I well overpaid for that cask, and
Yeah.
I would be surprised if Master of Malt paid anywhere near what I paid.
Yeah.
So, look,
This was 190 quid.
190 pounds,
90,
right?
yeah.
So this is the
Okay.
thing. Like, look, I would buy one of these, and I would be happy with my purchase. We all know that I spend silly money on certain things. Springbank and Burgundy.
Yeah.
Port Charlotte anytime. Certain things I will overspend on. I think that this is one of those scenarios. I am self-aware enough to know that I'm spending more than I should do on a bottle. I would only buy the one because I feel that it is just that little bit too much. It is a fantastic whiskey. It is something that is so controversial, so contradictory. There is so much going on within your glass that I would urge everyone to just try a dram of it.
Yeah, if you're a Port Charlotte collector, fanatic,
This
it's
is-
one for the collection.
You have to have one.
It really is, yeah.
I'm annoyed I didn't buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would love a
So am
closed.
I.
I would love a
There'll be
closed.
another one.
I would love a closed bottle of this just to have to. That's coming. You
I
know?
mean, if it means anything to you, that is, and they're all numbered. That is number one.
I know.
I think
remember you
I think they're all.
No.
Oh no, it is
No,
one
no,
number
no,
one.
no, no.
It is literally bottle.
Stevie got bottle number
number
one,
one,
and I
yeah.
was like, dude, you can't open that. He was like, dude, it's done.
It's a
It's
split
too late. It's too late. I fucking opened it.
It's a split bottle. I had
Shit.
no choice.
Straight up. Yeah. It's a buy from me though. It is a solid buy.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I would only buy the one probably, but it's a buy.
Would you like to buy some bird sick and cow shit?
It's a bin.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Bastard.
I'm surprised.
It's so fucking.
No, Ian, we've just had such a good conversation. What are you doing?
So look, if you have the opportunity,
You're not welcome next time.
Absolutely try it. But £190
It's a lot
for
of money.
all of this,
No,
like
okay.
you can get dirt that is tasty dirt in so many fucking better ways.
Ardmore is cheap dirt.
Ardmore, Lechaig, like.
What do you think this is worth then? Not that you'd like to pay. What do you think that is worth then? Because we are all saying 190 quid is a lot for a 13-year-old single cask Port Charlotte.
What I would like to pay for it.
No. What do you think it's worth? Not to you, just, you know.
Well, it's worth 100. I said I'd buy it.
No, I
So
know.
it's worth that.
But
in
you-
my
but
mind.
you still said it's
But what I
expensive.
would like to pay for it then is £150.
£150, okay.
Yeah.
Would you buy it £150 in?
No.
So you wouldn't? No.
Yes,
No,
Ian,
no.
£150
If I
is...
gave you it for free, would you drink it? No.
No.
You prick! What? Why would you not drink that? That is such an... Come back to it. He's changed his mind 5 times over. He hated it, then he loved it, then he hated it, now he's back in bed with it.
I'd try
Just
it.
fucking give it a go.
Look, I've had it 3 times now, and every single time I've got pretty much the same notes. Doesn't matter whether I'm in a hot tub or not.
I don't know. I liked your trunks, mate. Look, I just think it's so worth a go. It's like, you've got to give it a whack.
You got to give it. Yeah, you do. But I've tried it 3 times, and each time it's been fucking grim.
All right,
Fair
don't
enough.
buy, bin it, whatever you fucking said, you bastard. What are you at then, Stevie? Go on.
I would... You know what? I would buy it again if it was another split bottle.
You'd buy half of it, but you wouldn't pay the full whop. I think
Which
that's
means
fair.
I would buy it again, right? If I... yeah. I think it's cool. I think it's just taken me such on a journey, and it's taught me... It's actually the first bottle that's taught me that with whiskey, you need to go back to it sometimes, you know?
You
You
need to
have it in
challenge
different
yourself.
environments. You need to have
That's
it
what
in
I love
different-
about Port
different people.
Charlotte.
I've
Yeah.
gone back to it in different environments. It's been
Okay,
Well,
all
I
right,
mean,
all right.
every
Look,
time.
fair enough. I will give you that.
Don't
You
spoil
gave it a
my-
good shot. Each to his own. People are going to dislike what they dislike.
However,
I'm
it's
just surprised by the bin it. I thought it would be a don't buy from you, to be honest. I didn't think you disliked it that much.
It's a whiskey that the first whiskey that I have gone back to, and I've hated it. I loved it. I've hated it, and it's really taught me a good lesson.
fair.
So yeah, absolutely. But right now, I'd buy it again.
The bin,
that.
I think.
Wait till tomorrow, mate.
like that
You'll
bird
bin it.
Yeah.
The bin for me is partly based on the price as well. I just don't have the same love for Port Charlotte that you do.
For sure.
You know, I think obviously in some ways we've got very similar tastes, but around some of the periphery, I think we've got some quite different tastes as well.
100%.
And that's cool. You know, I think I appreciate Highland Park in a way that you don't appreciate Highland Park. You appreciate Port Charlotte in a way that I certainly do not appreciate Port Charlotte.
For sure.
And that's cool. Otherwise, people would all be buying the same fucking shit.
Exactly. No, look, of course, of course.
And, you know, as I said, I like a dirty dram. I like dust in particular and like old cracked leather. I like the kind of petrol, diesely, oily rag notes that I think you can get on Glen Scotias and Lechaig, but the farminess that I get off of this,
It's off-putting.
I just, it's not for me.
No, okay.
I don't think he likes it.
You know what? I really appreciate you re-explaining it to me because actually, no, when you put it like that, there is a completely different funk to Port
Yeah.
Charlotte, and it is weird, and I don't know why I like it. And we were talking about birds and cow dung and all sorts of horrible notes, and I get all of that, and I give me more. Like, it's weird, right? I'm this kind of weird little sadistic fuck. I don't know what's wrong with me. My palate's a bit off.
You got a Port Charlotte kink, mate.
I do, and I love it.
But all of those
each to his
notes,
own.
right? Like I've written reviews. I'm like, oh, this is like licking an old library book that no one's picked up for 20 years, and people are like, what the fuck? And
Hope you're not a member of my library.
I said each their own with that stuff, and I think there are a lot of whiskey drinkers that love that funk because otherwise fucking Springbank wouldn't be so popular.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
there are different types and different levels of funk. This is not for me, but I don't think we're that. Hopefully, we're not that degenerate.
He is.
I don't know. I hope not.
It
We'll
is.
let the audience decide. Drop a comment below. What do you think? Are we all completely messed up in the head? Is Ian onto something here? Or do you all enjoy some absolute filth like I do?
Look forward to the next episode in Jake's S&M dungeon.
Oh, Christ. Definitely not.
I do want to say, anyone that watches and have any recommendations of the Master and Malt
Yeah,
series,
please, drop 'em in
please
the-
let us know. There is a
Let
lot of
us
choice out
know.
there, so it's hard to choose sometimes.
And look, guys, like we say, we want to get the Master of Malt guys in. So if there's anything you would like us to talk to them about, if there is any
Go and message them. Tell
expressions
them.
that we would particularly like to have a look at, let us know. Hassle them to get onto the podcast. Hassle us to get them onto the podcast. It will happen eventually. We are getting there. But another wonderful episode, 4 beautiful jams. Thank you so much, gents. I didn't bring anything today. You're absolutely wonderful for supplying me with these delicious drams. To everyone at home, thank you very much for joining us. Saint Chavard.
So far.
Have a great afternoon.
Cheers.
See you in a minute.